Okay, guys. So 5.3 honors, 4.3 math 7. Okay. What we're looking at today is simplifying expressions. All right. Now remember, the difference between an expression and an equation is an expression does not have an equal sign. The biggest thing here is how are properties of operations used to simplify expressions? Okay. I'm going to show you my strategy for being able to do this. There are a few different things. First, we have to be able to identify a term. Okay, a term is always separated by a plus, minus, or an equal sign. The second thing is we have to be able to combine those like terms. We have to identify as a term, can it be combined, added, or subtracted with another term? So I'm going to show you as an example. These are the two examples from example 2. So if you've watched these, then you should have seen them, okay? So when I look at this, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, okay? I'm going to separate these terms by drawing lines in between them. Notice how this is a positive 59 and 95 cents. This is a negative 30. This is a positive 7 and 95 hundredths M, a positive 45, and a positive 9 and 49 hundredths M. See how I separate the terms? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to underline and put a line over the ones that can be combined. In other words, because this one has an M, I'm identifying that. This can be combined with this, which can be combined with this. These three terms all have the same variable, so they can all be combined. Likewise, these two do not have a variable, so they can be combined also. Now, I've already done the math on this, so I'm going to write it out. So the thing is, well, all three of these are positive, so I would add them all, and they end up being 77.39 M. And then this is a negative and a positive, so I subtract these from each other. Positive is larger, so this is going to be positive 15. And that's all I can combine on these two. I have two terms left over from the like terms, okay? And this is going to be our ending product, all right? This is our answer right here. Now look, here's the deal, guys. You have to understand that the term with the variable needs to come before the number that does not have the variable. We need to learn to put these in order. Okay, guys? So watch how I do this again. Now, every single time I do one of these, I want to evaluate this. The easiest way to evaluate is first to separate the terms so I can see them. Okay, so I've got a negative 0 and 5/10 p, a positive 1/2 p, a negative 2 and 75 hundredths, and a positive 2/3 p. Now, if I evaluate this and really look at it closely, I realize I have decimals and fractions, so I'm going to have to determine which one I'm going to use, okay? Now, I look at this and I realize this has a P, this has a P, and this has a P, so they can all be combined. Now, it actually goes a lot easier here than you think, because if I take this 0 and 5/10 and turn it into a fraction, that is 1/2. And this is a negative, and this is a positive, so they actually cancel each other out. That's why you want to evaluate first, to make it easier to solve. At that point, I only have two terms left. They cannot be combined, so I just need to make sure they're in the correct order. Okay, so in other words, my answer here is 2/3 p, because like I told you in the last one, the term with the variable has to come first, and then minus, don't forget to bring that minus down, 2 and 75 hundredths. That ends up being our answer. Okay, guys? So here, let me turn it. There you go. Then you can see it, okay? So that ends up being our answer. All right, let's go to example 3. Okay, now with example 3, we're going to do the same exact thing, all right, guys? Okay, so in other words, I'm going to separate these first by terms to be able to determine which ones can be combined. Okay, I've got a negative 3 and 7/10, got a positive 5G, positive 4K, a positive 11 and 1/10, and a negative 10G. So I'm looking for like terms. When I see this one does not have a variable, neither does this one, so those two can be combined. I also have 2 that have a 5 that have a G with them. Those can be combined. That leaves this K by itself. This K cannot be combined with anything, so it's going to be part of our final answer. Okay, now, what we want to do is we want to combine these in order, okay? So in other words, when I look at this, I've got 5G, G, and K, right? G comes before K. They need to be in alphabetical order. So this G, these two I'm going to combine, and that's going to be my first term of my answer. So this is a positive 5, negative 10. Okay, once I determine this is 5 G's and then minus 10 G's, that makes a negative 5G. Okay, so that one and that one are done, just to make sure I get everything just for good measure. Okay, then I look and I'm going to put that plus 4K. That one's done. Okay, now the last thing to do is to combine these two. Now you have to remember, this is a positive, this is a negative. They're going to be subtracted from each other. The larger one is positive, so my answer is going to be positive. Then I'm going to subtract them, and I end up with 7 4/10. This becomes my answer. If you notice, I have 3 terms, but none of them can be combined because they do not have the same variable, okay? And one of them does not have a variable at all. All right, guys, if you don't understand this, make sure you ask me in class. Okay, let's get this last one. Now, since we're not doing the quizzes, here's an Excel. Okay, so Excel number 8, okay? Now, what they're asking here is this equal or not equal to this? Now, I'm going to tell you this. Just by going through and separating the terms, you should actually realize that there's no way that this is equal. This is a positive. This is a negative. Okay? So they're not going to be equal. But they want you to actually solve it for, so I'm going to circle this. They're not equal. Okay? And then they want you to substitute 2 in for t, though. So I'm going to go through and work this out so you can see. Okay, so this ends up being 14 multiplied by 2 minus 3 multiplied by 2. Okay, so 14 multiplied by 2 is 28 minus 6, which equals 22. So this one's 22. I'm going to do the same thing over here. 3 multiplied by 2 minus 14 multiplied by 2. This right here is 6 minus 28. And like I said, one ends up being positive, one ends up being negative. This is a negative 22. Okay, guys? So they're going to ask you to solve this and answer questions about it in the Excel number 8. So make sure you take this down, use it as notes, and we'll get from there. Okay, guys, so once again, if you have any questions on any of this stuff, let me know, and I'll help you out in class.